To the Crypto Ninja channel. Let's look and see what is going on in the crypto market. So this is a Saturday stream. We're back on schedule, and these are the shorter streams for the week, but we're going to see what's going on with Bitcoin. Right now, Bitcoin looks a little bit sketchy to me, but we're going to see what's going on. If you guys are new, appreciate if you hit the like and subscribe button. It does help support the channel. So we're going to start with the Crypto Fear and Greed Index. Then we're going to get into Bitcoin. And then we're going to get into a trade that I did take earlier today, which is in the money. And this is a trade that I did give my Discord trading group. We also, if you guys don't want to pay, we have a Telegram group. If you just want to ask me general questions and don't want to get the trade setups, you can join that. Both of that is in the link on YouTube. I am live on TikTok today. I'll be live on Clapper on Monday night at 11 p.m. Central Time. But let's go over to the Crypto Fear and Greed Index. Actually, it would probably help if I shared my screen and then we can get this thing started. So right now, the Crypto Fear and Greed Index is currently coming in neutral at 59. So last time we went live, it was around the same level. Yesterday it was at 50. Last week we were down at 46, and last month we were at 75 in greed. So right now we are in neutral, and that is just kind of what I see going on for that. So I will talk about that later, about the meme coin. But so right now, and I said this, I told my trading group about this. I saw Bitcoin in a Adam and Eve double bottom. I don't talk about this very often, and this is on the 15-minute time frame. That's when you let me zoom in here and go full screen. That's when you make a V-shaped bottom, you get a bounce, then you somewhat have a rounded top, and then you have a rounded bottom, and that's an Adam and Eve double bottom. This is not the measure movement. Actually, since I've made that video, really the price has gone sideways, but these break out about 68% of the time. I would say it's even more than that, but by the book, it's about 68%. The measure move is still about $98,900, $98,800. That is a conservative measure move out of this Adam and Eve double bottom for Bitcoin. So that is on the 15-minute time frame. Right now, the 15-minute time frame, you can see it's kind of going sideways, but it does have more legs to go to the upside. If we look at the 1 hour time frame, you can see that the 1 hour time frame is kind of choppy around as well. So I know there's a lot going on this chart, but that is kind of what I see going on for Bitcoin. So some of these older patterns I can definitely get rid of and clear this chart up a little bit. But overall, that's kind of what I see going on for Bitcoin. The most likely scenario is that you get a move back to around $99,000 or very close to it. So the 1 hour time frame looks good to me for a move to the upside. The 4 hour time frame is kind of sketchy. I will say that the money flow is also bearish on the 4 hour time frame. So I would just be cautious about that. Also, the larger measure move that we do see here on the 8 hour time frame has a measure move of still 116,000 and change. And I said last stream, as long as Bitcoin can hold $96,000, and we'll be okay. And I don't want to see Bitcoin lose 96K. If you can hold 96K, I believe the bulls are still in control. The second you do that, the next support I see is about 94K for Bitcoin. The 8 hour time frame is overbought as well. The 12 hour time frame is overbought, and the daily time frame still is gas, but it's like taking a while to get a move to the upside. And you see that the R side is getting high on the daily, I should say. So I'd be a little bit cautious. The daily's a little sketch, but then you have the 2-day and the 3-day that look great to me for Bitcoin. And of course, you have to remember that the weekly time frame for Bitcoin is still very bullish. So you have to put all of these time frames together. And what do I expect happens to Bitcoin? Well, I expect Bitcoin to hold 96K. I could be wrong, but this is my opinion, not financial advice. I think the most likely scenario is, I'll say this, I think the most likely scenario is by the time I go back live on Monday at 11 p.m. Central Time, is that Bitcoin holds 96K. And you get that move up to $99,000. If I go back to the 15-minute time frame, Bitcoin gets that move back to the upside based on this Adam and Eve double bottom. I will say you can validate the double bottom, and then I can say that you are rolling over if Bitcoin basically loses 97K. If you lose 97K, that would be the bottom of this most recent rounded bottom, and that'd be a lower low. And then that's when you could start to look for moves to the downside, as low as the support at 94K. I do think, though, if you lose 97K, your next up is 94K. I don't think 96 would hold. Maybe 95 would hold. That is good support there, but that's kind of what I see going on for Bitcoin. So I think the most likely scenario is a move to the upside, and we will go from there. So The chart looks a little bit cleaner without those lines, the support and resistance lines. So we will see what happens, but I think the most likely scenario is sideways action until Monday, and then come Monday, we can maybe get a move to the upside. If Bitcoin does go sideways all of Sunday, that would honestly not be the end of the world. So we'll see what happens, but that is kind of what I see going on for Bitcoin. Appreciate if you guys hit the likes. It does help support the channel. So I did enter a trade on Litecoin a while ago, and I said, hey, at 10:48 a.m., I see a move coming for Litecoin. Wait, no, I said it right here. Or no, LRC, not Litecoin. I said I see a major move up to about 15.38 out of this falling wedge on Litecoin. I validated that wick because that was a crazy move to the upside. But that is the conservative measure move right now for LRC is 15.4, and now. We did touch what 14, just over 14 cents on LRC, and you can see that now the 15-minute time frame is overbought. I have brought my stop loss to break even. And I would say this, if you just look at the high volume nodes, if you break 14, your next stop is 14.2. I mean, that's not that big of a move, but that's what I'm seeing. So right now, I wouldn't be surprised if you got a little bit more of a move up here on LRC. And you also made a higher low now since this morning when I gave the trade alert, and you made a higher low at 13.57. So technically speaking, that's a great place to put a stop loss beneath. And if you lose 13.5, then you're likely to roll back over and make a lower low here below 13.3. So we'll see what happens. This is a 10x long for me. I use more leverage because it seems like overall the price has been kind of stagnant. So I did use a little more leverage than I usually do for an altcoin. So thank you, Jack, for the gift. Pi AI is cooking. So yeah. So that's the trade that I gave earlier today. Let me go see my meme coins if anything is popping off. Really not too much. So if you guys have requests for altcoins, let me know in the comment section below and I will look at them. But that's kind of what I wanted to go over today. So I got, by the way, I did get out of my Yearn finance trade. I got stopped out of that. So and then this morning again, I entered the LRC trade. So we'll see. But right now my take profit's 15.38. My stop loss is currently 13.44, so right above break even. I think if I get stopped out, it said I'd make 14 cents on this trade. So yeah, that's kind of what I see going on for LRC. It amazes me if I looked back 4 years ago, how much these altcoins that are worth nothing, LRC is probably one of them, how much these altcoins are down from, just let me just remove this too. And it amazes me how much these altcoins are down from their highs back in 2021 in the last bull run. Like LRC at one point was $3.82. We are nowhere near this in this bull run, even though we haven't really had altcoin season. We are nowhere near the all-time highs. The all-time highs are about 90% higher, or I should say they're down 90%. Or even more from their highs. That's insane. The all-time high in the last bull run was about $4. Right now, you're not even sitting at 20 cents. So I think a lot of these coins are worth nothing. And the only thing I would do, not financial advice, is trade them. I would not hold them over long terms or long periods of time because I just, it's never probably going to hit $4 again. I think it's very unlikely. So, yeah, that's kind of what I see going on. Most altcoins, I gotta say, from 4 years ago are not at all-time highs. Can I please explain to me what a contract is? When you're leverage trading, do you mean? I mean, I use like leverage. I don't know if I use contracts. I don't in leverage trading for crypto, you don't really use contracts. Like say you buy one LRC token and you go long, and say the price is 14 cents, but then you do 10x leverage and you only put $1 in. Your trade then is worth $10. But I mean, I don't use contracts on trading. I just use leverage, so I'm not quite sure I understand. I would say that's more for like the stock market. when you use call and put options, that's more what I would assume that would be. But contracts, I don't think that's really the same thing as leverage trading in crypto, at least. I don't know, man. I don't really care if we get an altcoin season because I think that I can make money trading and then investing in Bitcoin. But altcoin season, I mean, if Bitcoin goes to 170,000, we're gonna get altcoin season. I would presume at some point. It might not have to happen, but we'll see what happens. I believe though, if we do get the altcoin season, and I would hope that we do, but if we don't, I won't be disappointed. But if we do get the altcoin season, it's gonna probably be sometime. On Bitcoin's run up to 170,000. And honestly, if I had to guess, if Bitcoin does go to 170,000, then the most likely time we would get the altcoin season would be after Bitcoin's hit its all-time high. After Bitcoin's hit its targets, after Bitcoin tops out in the bull run, and then when Bitcoin goes sideways. Say Bitcoin goes up to 170,000. And then you go sideways for a month, and then you make a slightly higher high up to 171,000, and then that's your top. Sometime around between the first top and then the second top would be when we get altcoin season. Like in the last bull run, Bitcoin went to 64,000, and then a few weeks later it went to 65,000. In between that period, if that's what happened again, that's when I would expect a top or altcoin season. But I don't think that I would bet on altcoin season. I don't think so. Can I guide on crypto tax? Well, I don't know what to tell you for that. If I invest in, I don't trade on Coinbase, but I invest on Coinbase. So say I put $1,000 into Coinbase, and then I send $1,000 to trade. I don't mess. Say I trade on weeks. I don't mess with crypto taxes on weeks. I just do whatever I send back to my bank account through Coinbase. So I know on Coinbase you can go to the tax documents section, and then they do that for you. I wouldn't mess with trying to figure it out on weeks. I just think that's doing too much. And yeah, I mean, because if it goes back, when I send it back to the Coinbase, then it's recorded for taxes anyway. So there's no point in recording in both places, if that makes any sense. And I know again on Coinbase you can go to settings, and then it'll show tax documents, and then you can download it. If you don't use Coinbase, then I'm not quite sure what to tell you. But yeah, I don't know. So how do I use, I mean, I don't really trade on volume profile. What I do look at is, say Bitcoin loses, let me go full screen. So this, if you guys don't know, this is what he's talking about, these two things here. So usually whenever a price loses a big volume node, which would be 97K, and you have the next, or the biggest one would be 60,000, and then the next biggest one that I see would be 96,000, and then you also have a lot at 67K. So anytime you lose a big node like 97K, which is where you have a lot of volume on the weekly time frame, if you lose 97K, the next stop you'd be looking for would be 67K. Anytime you lose one, you usually go to the next one. Every time frame is going to have it be a little bit different, but on the macro time frame is what I would look for a bigger move for Bitcoin. So if you could do the same thing on the 50-minute time frame. If you're trading the smaller time frames, I don't trade based on it, but it's interesting to see where they're at. So on the 15-minute time frame, the biggest ones would be at 97.4, and honestly, there's not a lot beyond that. I think it's most reliable on the higher time frames. I would not trade it on the 1 hour or on the smaller time frames. On the 1 hour time frame, you have a lot at 97.4, and then you have a little bit more at 96,900. But I think it's most accurate when you're doing it like on the daily time frame and above. So because like now you can get some data. So you have a lot at 104,000. You have a little bit more at 102. You have a lot more at 96. And so right now, if Bitcoin got the dump to the downside and you lose 96,500, the next stop you'd likely go, if you're just going off the high volume node and volume profile, would be 94,500, which I know will be a very strong support around that 94K region. So we'll see what happens, but that's how I trade it. So wherever these wicks are the longest is really where you have the most volume, and that's that is a good way to trade if you're doing it on the higher time frames. If you're doing it on like the 1 minute time frame and the 15-minute time frame, I don't think it's very reliable. But that is how you look at that indicator, and hopefully that made sense. So, yeah. Binance doesn't provide tax information, but how do you get your money over to Binance? Thank you guys for the likes. So that is that's my point. So if you go through Coinbase, or I don't know what exchange you would go through to get your money to Binance, because Binance does not connect to your bank account. I don't think I've ever used Binance, but I know it doesn't connect to your bank account, unless I'm wrong. So, guys, we'll be back live at 11 p.m. Central Time on on Monday, and that's my longer stream. And I'll be live on Monday on Clapper. I was supposed to go live on Clapper today, but I kind of got my days mixed up. So I'll be live on Monday on Clapper and on YouTube. But yeah, I would just watch for Bitcoin. I think we get sideways price action tomorrow for Bitcoin. But I will say, if Bitcoin loses the level, we go back and look what level I said. I think I said 97K. If Bitcoin loses these two lows here, that's kind of like a double bottom as well. If Bitcoin loses 97.2, I would be looking for a move down to, honestly, minimum 95K. But really, your strong support, I would say, is 94.5. So if Bitcoin loses 97.2, I would be looking for a move between 94.5 and 95K on Bitcoin. And that's what I'd say. If this, then that. So you could technically open along now with a stop below 97.2, and that'd be a pretty tight stop as well. You might get stopped out because we're pretty close to price action. But if you hold 97.2, you lose very little. And if you win with a take profit at 99K or 98.9, that's not a bad trade setup. So that's what I see going on. I think the most likely scenario is that we go up for Bitcoin. I did forget to look at Bookmap, so let's do that really quickly. And we do need to open up a new Bookmap because I guess. So here we go. Let me go full screen here. So Bookmap right now is suggesting that we get the move to the upside to 98,000. And although I will say there's even liquidity on both sides, but I would say there's a lot of liquidity at 97.3. I think most likely scenario is Bitcoin gets a move to $98,000. I would say there's a little more liquidity up there, but we'll see what happens. There is quite a bit of liquidity down here at the below 97.2. We'll see what happens. I think if we do get a move this weekend, it'd be up to $98,000. So that's what Bookmap is suggesting, although it's very close on both sides. So on both sides of the order book. So thank you, Lincoln Bio, for the gift. Saying you guys are sending gifts. I'm not sure I see. It's still a contract with leverage trading. Interesting. Well, okay. Hold on a second. Well, I guess I could go back to that. I didn't know that, but so if you go to Bitcoin and say you buy one Bitcoin, and right now one Bitcoin is worth $97,452, right? And then you do 2x leverage. That means that you have two Bitcoin, which is worth almost $200,000. You're risking, whatever your stop loss is, but you're risking your money in the trade. And then if Bitcoin went down 50% on 2x leverage, you'd be liquidated. If you do 10x leverage, if Bitcoin goes down, I think 10%, you'd be liquidated. So your leverage so the amount of leverage you use would dictate where your liquidation would be and the percent that Bitcoin go down. If you're on 100x leverage, if Bitcoin goes down or up more than 1%, you would lose all your money that you put into the trade. So that's why you should always use a stop loss. But as far as explaining exactly how contracts work, beyond just the simple information, I'd have to make a longer video for that. I know on weeks you can do like 300x leverage. I would not recommend that. But if you're brand new to leverage trading, I can make a longer video on that. But I think the best way to learn how to trade is in spot. And then when you master that, you can move over to leverage trading. So, guys, I'm going to get on out of here. I can make a deeper, longer video on that if you want me to. But But otherwise, I'll see you guys on Monday, 11 p.m. Central Time. Until then, trade safe. Have a great rest of your weekend. I don't see much going on for Bitcoin this weekend, and that's kind of why That's why I usually go live longer on Mondays, because there's just more going on. But if Bitcoin does get moved, I think it's up to about 100,000, 99,000, I should say. The measure move is 98,900. We still have yet to hit that. So if we do get moved this weekend, that's the most likely area I believe we go to. But I gave you scenarios for both areas. If you lose 97.2, I'd be looking for about 94.5 on Bitcoin. If this, then that. Keep it simple. Don't over trade. Again, the only trade I'm in right now is LRC with a stop at break even, so no risk in that trade. I'm going to see you guys on Monday at 11 p.m. Central Time on Clapper and on YouTube. Until then, trade safe and have a great night. Cheers, and thank you for stopping by, and appreciate you guys hitting the likes. Link in bio. Hi, how's it going? Thank you for stopping by. I'll see you guys in about 2 days for the next live stream. Alrighty, I'll see you guys in the next one. Adios.